Welcome to part 2 of the presentation, The Vertical Tower Farm. In part 1 we explored the challenges facing food security and environmental sustainability. We found that agriculture and the supply chain play critical roles in food security and sustainability challenges. For this reason, an intervention on these dimensions could provide an increase in a nation's food security while also addressing important sustainability challenges. In part 2 we will address these challenges with a proposed solution. The Vertical Tower Farm. First, we'll explore the purpose and functions of a vertical tower farm. Then, we will conclude with its potential significance and impact in reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's begin. Simply put, a vertical tower farm is a farming operation within a tower. The reasons to do agriculture in a tower instead of more fields are many. The food security of a nation needs to be in alignment with the challenges of feeding an increasing global population, urbanization, and aging societies. This also requires nations to address their supply chain vulnerabilities. These challenges need to be addressed with a long-term oriented strategy. The vertical tower farm could provide a solution to these challenges while also increasing access to local, fresh, and healthy food. With the controlled climate of the vertical tower farm, it is possible to protect crops from the uncertainty of a changing climate, such as from changes in the growing seasons and extreme weather. It is also possible to grow crops all year round and with greater yield, precision, and reliability. It also gives greater flexibility in crop selection and the ability to respond with agile adjustments to food production based on customer demands. Additionally, the vertical tower farm could be used to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. One way this could be done is by mitigating and offsetting the amount of land that typically needs to be cleared for agriculture by using vertical space. Also, environmental pollution from conventional agriculture typically occurs due to runoff produced from the herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers that are used. These cause environmental contamination that threatens biodiversity. Additionally, the spraying of herbicides and pesticides, aside from the runoff contamination, also create airborne contaminants that can land on flowers far away from the site and kill unintended beneficial insects such as pollinators. These practices are harmful to biodiversity and are unsustainable. The vertical tower farm can also eliminate pollutants from entering the environment by eliminating the use of such products or containing and managing them on site. For example, herbicide use can be eliminated since the intentional planting of selected crops are the only ones that can grow in the vertical tower farm, and weeds cannot emerge within the system. Since the environment is controlled, the use of pesticides can also be eliminated or greatly reduced. As for fertilizers, these can be produced, managed, and contained on site. Runoff and airborne contaminants can also be eliminated by using the vertical tower farm. Another area of importance in sustainability is energy consumption. With the vertical tower farm, a commitment can be made to the use of renewable energy sources. Also, the use of passive energy design practices and energy-efficient technologies can also reduce the amount of energy the operation consumes. With the increasing global population, urbanization, and aging societies, the vertical tower farm can be used as part of a long-term oriented urban planning strategy. This chart depicts the average amount of farmland that is used in the United States, Brazil, France, Estonia, and Finland, with the United States using 3 or 4 times the amount of land than the others, at 155.8 hectares. Brazil is in second with 63, followed by France with 54.5, Estonia with 48, and Finland with 36. The vertical tower farm contrasts conventional farms by taking advantage of vertical space. While the continuous expansion of farmland over horizontal space in conventional agriculture comes at the heavy cost of the environment, the vertical tower farm compresses that land into a fraction of the space, utilizing vertical space instead of only horizontal. Imagine that a vertical tower farm was built on 1 hectare of land and had the height of 100 meters. In this scenario, on just 1 hectare of land, the vertical tower farm has the volume space of 100 hectares of land, the equivalent of 1 square kilometer. In this case, a vertical tower farm on 1 hectare of land could offset 99 hectares of natural land from clearing, thus minimizing the amount of land clearing needed for agriculture to a fraction of the size. The vertical tower farm is a biological mechanism. By coupling multiple systems and modeling these systems based on nature, it creates sustainable circular loops of resources, allowing for the transformation of waste from one part of the system to become a resource for another. The vertical tower farm becomes more than the sum of its parts. An example of such circular systems is the food production system. One component of this system is the production of plant crops. For this, hydroponics and aeroponics will be used. They are soilless farming practices. Hydroponics is the growing of crops using the controlled flooding and dripping of nutrients water directly to the roots of the crop. Aeroponics is quite similar, but it is the misting of the plant roots, allowing for increased oxygen uptake by the plant roots, allowing for faster growth and increased yield of crops. The next component of this coupling of systems is aquaculture, the production of fish. When hydroponics and aquaculture are coupled, it is called aquaponics. The reason this is an opportunity, by combining systems into one operation, is due to the possibility of multiple yields, plant crops, and fish harvest. These systems can create a circular loop of nutrients like in a natural ecosystem. The wastewater from the fish is rich in ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. These are macro plant nutrients. In contrast to conventional operations, where the runoff of agricultural fertilizers or the dumping of aquaculture wastewater could end up as an environmental contaminant, in the vertical tower farm, these are contained, treated, and reused on site. The waste from the aquaponics becomes the nutrients for the plant crops, which is then filtered by the plants before this water is returned once more to the aquaponic system. Another contrast to conventional agriculture is that conventional agriculture is resource heavy, for example, with its water consumption. In the vertical tower farm, water is recycled and contained within the system. Also, the natural rainwaters that hit the tower during a storm are harvested and stored to supplement the system as needed. Additionally, gravity could be used to distribute the water throughout the system, eliminating or reducing the energy use of pumps. The vertical tower farm is an operation that minimizes or eliminates energy dependency on unsustainable sources by using renewable energy systems. These systems can be a combination of renewable energy sources to capitalize on multiple sources of natural energy production on site, and to compensate for the dependency on a single source. The systems used and their design is unique to the environment in which the vertical tower farm will be located. These considerations require strategic planning. The vertical tower farm will also cut energy costs and its use through passive design practices, such as a passive climate control system. For example, a thermal mass buffer extending from the structure on the subterranean levels can be used with insulation to create a thermal battery. A thermal battery captures and stores heat in the thermal mass, which is prevented from escaping by the use of insulation. It is then reflected back into the tower due to thermodynamics from the fluctuations in temperature. For example, when it is warmer, the heat will be transferred into the thermal battery, but when the tower temperature decreases, thermodynamics pulls the heat back into the tower. This works with other passive systems to stabilize the vertical tower farm's climate. Cooling tubes that go through the thermal mass can be used to draw in fresh air, while at the same time, the air's journey through these tubes acts to stabilize the air temperature before it enters the system, so it is neither too cold or hot. Other passive climate systems are designed to use the heat from the sun by passive solar design. In addition to these passive systems, a hybrid ventilation system could be used, which is a combination of natural and mechanical ventilating systems, thus reducing the dependency on one system. The vertical tower farm must use energy-efficient technology since it aims to be sustainable by cutting energy costs and the need for its usage. With indoor plant production, it may not be possible to rely only on the natural light for operations. Thus, lighting needs to be supplemented. Although this comes at a cost and needs to be worth more than the cost to operate, therefore energy-efficient lighting such as LEDs could be used, since they are effective in plant production, affordable, have a long lifetime, and are energy efficient. In addition to LED lighting, natural lighting can be maximized with the use of mirrors and fiber optics. Finally, lighting costs can be reduced through automation, so it is optimally used when needed. The vertical tower farm creates opportunities where society traditionally sees waste as a problem to get rid of. Through creating strategic partners and its own bio-waste operations, This is another way the vertical tower farm can be part of the solution, turning waste into a resource for food production. For example, strategic partnerships could be developed with local restaurants or other similar type partners to take up their food waste. This could be mutually beneficial for them to partner up with the vertical tower farm, an all-season producer of local, fresh, and healthy food. Compost happens naturally as an ecosystem service by worms, insects, bacteria, and funguses. Compost is the rich black soil that one may find in a forest under all the leaves that fell from the trees in previous times. This is a natural ecosystem function. Civilization is out of balance with this function by producing many products that don't easily decompose, such as plastic, or through the mismanagement of biowaste, such as food waste, which could be turned back into a valuable resource. The vertical tower farm can reclaim this function within the civil ecosystem. One such practice that could create multiple opportunities for the vertical tower farm is called vermiculture. This is the use of worms for composting. Worms can eat bio-waste and create compost from their waste. The byproduct of worm compost is a substance that is a highly effective organic fertilizer. This can be used to supplement the vertical tower farm in two ways. First, the vermiculture fertilizer can be used to supplement the aquaculture system fertilizer production for the hydroponic system. And secondly, the worms can provide a natural food choice for the fish in the aquaponic system. Another composting system that could be used is an insect system, such as with soldier flies and crickets or other such useful insects. As similar to vermiculture, and as a redundant system, these insects can consume bio-waste, a resource that many just throw away, and the outcome could be transformed into compost, fertilizer, and fish food. One more bio-waste opportunity comes from fungus, which also contributes to the creation of compost as an ecosystem service. In this case, mushrooms that are edible to humans, or can be turned into another beneficial resource for the vertical tower farm, could be used. It was found that 30% of home waste and 60% of business waste could be used as a medium to grow mushrooms from. Items include papers, cardboards, cotton clothing, tea and coffee waste. These are typical waste items, some that are conventionally resource heavy to recycle. With strategic partnerships, these waste resources could be obtained. The vertical tower farm has the potential to increase a nation's food security by promoting access to local, fresh, and healthy food. The design challenge of the vertical tower farm provides an industrial opportunity to the modularization and mass distribution of its components to create universal and custom solutions to a region's particular needs. This would also reduce their construction costs that could also result in promoting an increase in the global food security and reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. The vertical tower farm can maximize land usage on minimal space, thus supporting the offsetting and mitigation of deforestation and habitat destruction that threatens biodiversity and impacts the climate. The vertical tower farm has the potential to reduce and eliminate fossil fuels and environmental contaminants through the use of renewable energy, passive design practices, and energy-efficient technologies, and also through the containing and treatment on-site of fertilizers and the elimination of herbicides and pesticides. The vertical tower farm turns waste into an opportunity through mimicking natural ecosystem services. It could also function as a carbon sink to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions that affect the climate. The vertical tower farm opens up opportunities as a new multidisciplinary field of education and research. The operations of the vertical tower farm could provide numerous employment opportunities from a diverse skill set. The Sustainable Development Goals were created by the United Nations as a framework and guide into the future to help societies plan for the challenges and uncertainties of the world, while also minimizing the damages humans are creating through harmful practices. The goals are to address three dimensions of sustainability: the economic, the environmental, and societal. The vertical tower farm aims to reach these goals for sustainable development. It hits 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in ways that could be significant if adopted on a global scale. The vertical tower farm has the potential to address food security, sustainable consumption, sustainable urban planning and infrastructure, resource usage, land usage, transforming waste into resources, and reduce the burden and negative impact that agriculture has on the climate and environment. The vertical tower farm is a possible way forward towards the Sustainable Development Goals and a better future. The vertical tower farm needs to take theory into practice. Prototypes need to be tested and refined. Multidisciplinary teams need to work together on this challenge. The vertical tower farm is a complex system. The human resources for implementation need to be trained and developed. Food security is an important aspect of a nation's well-being, and it also should be a right. The business model of the vertical tower farm should be developed with all stakeholders in mind. Whoever controls the food controls a nation. So how can it be a winning situation for all? The public, businesses, and the government. What kind of business model could the vertical tower farm have to be sustainable and ethical, while also profitable? What social sustainability aspects should be considered in its business model? How can we change investors' thinking from short-term oriented unsustainable investments towards long-term sustainable development projects? How should the government support these efforts? The vertical tower farm is part of an emerging awareness of the interconnectedness of the planet and the finite nature of our resources, while also striving to sustain a growing and evolving global civilization. The vertical tower farm needs to become part of sustainability discussions around the world that could lead from a series of research and development stages to its practical application throughout the world. The vertical tower farm offers a business opportunity, a means to address a nation's food security, and some of the most difficult challenges of sustainable development in modern times. It is important that you, as a viewer, share and discuss about the importance of food security with the supply chain vulnerabilities of a nation and the unsustainable conventional agricultural practices that are causing environmental damages. As well, the subject of reaching the Sustainable Development Goals is much needed to be discussed. And finally, how the vertical tower farm could be a way forward to meeting these challenges.